Going live.
How does that work?
All right. Well, it's now. It says we're live.
Yeah. Oh well, I can end it if I want. All right. So we're all.
I think it's
Good.
had everything. Okay, there we go. We're now live.
I'm not dropping frames. Oh my
preview
lord.
nonsense.
Ugh.
So yeah, we had technical problems.
They're trying to censor us.
It's all
because we have the truth, and they're trying to silence
we have the truth. Don't listen to Twitter. There's a new Geist.
So okay, I'll do the introduction again now. So it's we are doing this week's Good Morning Source Gaming to give it our thoughts on this theoretical Nintendo Direct that may or may not be a thing. Who knows? It's almost certainly is happening this week. I mean, there's always one in September, isn't there?
It's feel like TGS.
Yeah, TGS is coming up as well. They'll want it out before that. So there's been enough buzz and stuff, so it's going to happen. So we thought, let's do our predictions now. Because even if it isn't this week, the predictions will still be relevant. I don't imagine Nintendo's going to be announcing anything to really mess up our thoughts right now.
We're actually never making another Tamagotchi Life game. We're just like the first the first unannouncement in a direct. They're just like, never again will you see your favorite Star Fox character.
But so joining us for this episode is obviously me, Nintendrex, Colin.
Hello.
You've heard Spazzy's also here, and
I am also here.
He's also here, and Wolfman, who is how many Good Morning Source games have you been on?
GMSG debut.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've never been to one of these.
That can't be true. Actually, no. Now that I'm thinking about it, that I don't think that's true. I think there was like one episode where the gist, like the gimmick was that it was everyone who isn't on a Good Morning Source Gaming. So it was like you and Liquid, but that was like 4 years ago or something.
I'm gonna say that must have been
it would have been like
back.
really early on. Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly don't remember it at all. But I'm here.
One of our fans, one of our fans who have more due diligence than us can.
Yeah, one of our source heads.
Can check the archives. One of our patrons do our work for us.
If you do, and you find out that I was actually on a Good Morning Source Gaming, Nintendex will personally send you an exciting Source Gaming official no prize.
It's true.
Staff
it here.
Polo.
Just don't look out for it in your emails if you find this. But all right, do we want to do what have we been playing first? The usual, or do we just want to jump straight into?
My dog is moving a food bowl back and forth. What do you mean by that? What do you want? I don't understand.
Who knows? It's a mystery. So yeah, because I mean, I have been extremely busy, so I've not been playing anything at all. No video games.
Oh, so here's what I'm gonna say. There's this cool game called Sea of Stars that just came out, and I saw it, and I said that game looks cool, so I played Chrono Trigger again. So I've been on my my Amberneck handheld periodically playing like 30-minute stints of Chrono Trigger. But I've also been. I just I bought a new house. Closed.
Ooh, tell us the address.
Yeah, all of that
stuff right now.
Send all of your no prizes here.
Colin, by the way, I don't know if the YouTube chat feed is working on the stream.
Yeah,
I've not seen things come up.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. That's just gonna have to be.
Right.
Let me check. Yeah.
Wolfman, have you been playing anything?
I actually have. I've been playing a bit of Earthbound, but the main thing I've been playing is Dredge, an indie game that came out earlier this year. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with it, or.
No, I feel like I might have heard it, but I've not played it. So it's got a boat, right?
Yeah, it's basically kind of a fishing horror management sim game.
Okay.
You know,
manage the fishing or the horror, or are these in tandem?
Oh, no, it's actually all in tandem. I'm actually writing an article about it, which Maybe I'll publish that in October. Spooky month.
Ooh.
Yes.
It's basically it's like you're in an island chain and you've got this like crappy, dilapidated, like ugly trawler, and you kind of go out and you fish, and you bring the fish back to get paid, but at night your sanity starts dripping away, like the fish start to be replaced by gross mutant fish that are covered with eyes or fangs.
Oh, I know this game. Yeah, I haven't played it, but I am aware of this game. Sorry, go ahead.
And so you're kind of just like juggling this thing where to complete the game and do the different quests and solve whatever mysteries there are, you can't just stay in the day all the time. You eventually do have to travel to areas where you will spend time at night. You may have to catch fish that only appear at night and avoid like literally like storms of crows that will steal your fish, like ghost boats that will ram into you, giant fish that will attack you. There's an area that has this basically like unstoppable tentacle monster that is so deep you can't even see what it looks like. And all the time you're kind of organizing like what the engines that kind of control how fast you can go, the fishing rods and tools that can determine where you can fish and how fast you can fish, the lights, like you have this like terrible like crappy light and like kind of thing that starts as like a candle, and then it becomes and then you can buy more powerful ones to see better in the dark. It's very fun. It's got this. I think it has this very strong gameplay loop where you're constantly kind of figuring out that you want to do something or you need to do something, and you kind of like, and invariably you kind of go past the safety limits you've planned for yourself. You'll end up being out at night or being out and not in kind of like morbidly awake because you can't sleep. It's very cool. The graphics are great. They're very blocky and polygonal, but also have this like very colorful, and the audio is great. Everything you do just has these creaks in the boat. It's very cool. I'm enjoying it a lot.
I'm terrified of things under the sea, so I feel like this game would be really scary to me.
It's intense. But still, I think pretty manageable. Highly recommend.
Nice. Cool. And Colin, you've been playing anything?
Yes, sir. I'm almost done. I don't know if I ever talked about this on a previous GMSG or not, but I've been playing through Eidos's Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Oh,
I'm almost done with that. I'm like maybe like one chapter left. It's really good. It's surprisingly good. It's not like the best video game I've ever played, but it's got like a lot of heart to it. It's a lot of fun. It's just like it nails like the aesthetic of like making you feel comfortable with like sort of the aesthetic of like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies while still being more like comic focused.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very much a take on the kind of the MCU version of the Guardians, but that's to be expected. That's what
that's what people know.
Yeah. I feel like that game. I got it when it came out. And I think it's a very good game. It's one of those games where it doesn't do anything new, but it does everything that it does well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I enjoy the hell out of it. I think that it didn't do as well as it could have, partially because it came after that terrible Avengers game, so people kind of associated them.
Mm-hmm.
If there's been in the grand, like, short but very extensive history of big Square Enix failures, Guardians is probably unique in that's the one people actually like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the way they advertised it. Oh, hey, the chat works now. The way they advertise it is like, because that Avengers game came out, and then they were like, they waited a whole year until like E3 of whatever year Guardians came out. What, 2021, 2020? And
something like that.
and then they were like, it's out in 4 months, here's 20 minutes of gameplay, bye. Like, it was like they were so, like, scared to give it, like, a proper advertising thing that they were just like, here's this fucking game we've actually been working on, it's out now, like...
That E3 show for it was also just really bad.
Yeah. And it also doesn't help that the game, like, I think it, like, threw a lot of people off, because you think Guardians of the Galaxy, and also, like, Avengers was a games as a service thing, so you're thinking, like, oh, co-op, like looter shooter type thing, but no, it's like a single player ARPG.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to call it an ARPG, but that's just what everyone refers to it as, and, like, I guess.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I assumed for like years that it was a loot shooter.
Nope.
Yeah. I think you're kind of conditioned to assume it is, because...
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of loot shooters, I have been still playing a little bit Tiny Tina's Wonderland.
Oh, that was an humble choice.
Dude, it is really good. I feel like it freshens up, because I completely skipped out on Borderlands 3. I was somebody that loved the first Borderlands, because I was somebody that played a lot of MMOs and RPGs, and I'm like, it's like these elements, but in a shooter. So I like the first 2 Borderlands quite a bit, but I skipped out on 3. But it really just freshened things up in a fun way. Like, grenades are boring, but spells, change them to spells. I mean, they're still essentially the grenades, but they're fun now.
I'll have to install that on the Steam Deck.
Do it.
I've been playing Guardians on the Steam Deck, and I think it's, like, genuinely incredible, like, the work that, like, the PC gaming community can do with, like, certain PC games, because, like, there are certain games that when they released, or, like, within, like, the first, like, month or so, people already had, like, preconceived notions of how it runs on the deck. It's like, oh, you're gonna have to set everything to low, you're gonna have to set everything to, like, 30 FPS cap, all of these things. But I installed a mod that replaces the DLSS functionality with FSR, because you can just fucking do that, I guess, with mods. And now I have the game running at, like, 40-ish FPS, like, medium settings, and it's comfy. It's comfy as fuck playing on this little thing. And I guess that leads into the other game that I just started playing on my Steam Deck yesterday, which is the RE4 remake. I'm way behind everybody else, but I finally started playing RE4 Make, and yeah, good.
Oh man, I can't wait till I start playing it in 4 months and tell you guys about it.
Exactly.
I've been holding off until I eventually hunker down for an Xbox Series, but that's probably the first one I'm gonna play.
It's kind of like
I still haven't played 3 yet, so
well, it'll take you like 4 hours.
Yeah, 3 is very. The thing is, the original game was also short, but like,
yeah,
it was short, but they still cut sections out of it.
3 was very much like, okay, 3 remake, I guess. Is that was very obviously kind of like pushed through.
Yeah.
It's like a Left 4 Dead 2 moment where they were like, everyone's gonna be so impressed that we can pump out another one of these like so fast after the last one.
Yeah,
because it seemed like they wanted to be like, yeah, like RE3 make, RE2 make just came out and everyone fucking liked it. What if we immediately have a third one out now? And then everyone was like,
yeah,
we can tell you ran through this.
that game is like, I'm not even mad, I'm disappointed. You know, it's like it could have been more. It's not a bad game. It's just
it's I don't even think it's like far from the worst Resident Evil game. Oh. It's just a shooter. Like it's basically the best way to put it.
Yeah,
it's also stunning. I don't. That game's like beautiful for some reason.
Yes.
It's like one of the first games I played when I got like a new TV that can proper do HDR. And holy shit. It's like that's like one of those games that you need to like show people to be like, no, you don't understand. Brighter TVs are cool. Look at this. Look what I can do.
Nice.
But
so
No, I was gonna say RE4 Make is another example of a Steam Deck game that just like runs better than I would have ever expected. Like in some areas I'm actually getting like not 60 FPS, but it's like fluctuating between 40 and like 50 enough that it's like it doesn't really feel bad. Like the frame pacing isn't so like wildly off. And that's still really impressive for a thing that's using like a fucking laptop chip and like a Switch battery.
Yeah.
Gaming. Yeah.
Gaming. Speaking of, shall we get into the main event then for this one? So the Nintendo Direct. I'm going to set the scene. I'm going to set the schedule of what we'll be doing. We'll give predictions. We'll do this one at a time. I guess we'll go down the order of me going first, and then Colin, then Spazzy, then Wolfman. But we have purposely been avoiding any of the leaks, rumors, stuff like that, because I know that they've begun to go about. Right? I saw the first two, but only like the very brief GIFs or whatever.
What I'm going to say is I saw a GIF from a particular Nintendo IP, which is one that I probably would have guessed anyways. Should we just say that one? Because
let's go through first. I want to know what everyone's is, because Wolfman, I don't know if you've actually seen even this.
I have not at all. The only thing I was going to say is that I have heard about a GameCube game being re-released in some fashion. I don't know if that is a full-on Metroid Prime Remastered-esque, like giant remaster, if that's just a Pikmin 1-esque, basically a port. Like and honestly, that's like a gimme for this kind of thing. Obviously, there's going to be at least one GameCube thing coming out. There was at the last two.
Yes, so I think that's probably the same one that was the very first thing. And we can't really ignore them, so we may as well start with them before we start going into our wilder, general predictions. But I just wanted to establish the fact that the second that I saw that stuff was going to start leaking, we were very much like, let's mute everything, mute the Twitter bird, avoid the leaks from rumor chat.
Don't you mean the X?
No, I mean
no.
I mean the birds and beans bird.
Oh yeah,
the cheeky red one.
Do you want a Blue Sky invite for Source Gaming? I think I might.
I've got one. I've just not. I've just been super busy. So
yeah, me too. I haven't even set up my Blue Sky.
I've been kind of waiting for the chips to fall where they may on the next.
Fair. But all right, let's talk about these two rumored ones first before we then start actually giving our thoughts and predictions from each person. And obviously, the first one of this, the one I think we've all sort of seen, is something F-Zero related. Now, whether or not that is the long rumored GX remaster, or if this is something else entirely, who knows? My money is, though, that it probably is the GX remaster. Because that's just been talked about before. I think we've predicted that before, and it's still not happened yet. But we're coming to the end of the Switch's life cycle, so I feel like a lot of these big, long rumored payoffs are going to start happening. They kind of need to now.
Yeah,
right.
We're kind of at historically when Nintendo releases like a new console, like the year before, they very like noticeably kind of start trickling them back new releases because they're waiting to put the new ones on the new console instead. And so, but they still need to put stuff out for Switch. There's 150 or whatever million people who have Switches. So doing an easy one that you can basically just either assuming that the Switch successor has backwards compatibility, which I think we're all kind of assuming understanding by this point. Like, you can basically still reuse those sales, but now we have new stuff, and we were there for the year before the Switch came out. Like, 2016 was an empty year for Nintendo games. I mean, other than like Sun and Moon, but that doesn't fully count.
You can really, well, I mean,
3DS one.
So. Yeah, exactly.
2016 was definitely like we need to like finish out some of these like obligated Wii U releases. Like we just need to like pack
Color
these up
Splash.
and
get
Tokyo
online.
Mirage Sessions, Star Fox Zero, stuff like that. But it is interesting because there's way more momentum with the Switch. I would even say there's probably like more momentum with the Switch going into the next system than there was with like the DS into the 3DS. Because a lot of the reason why the 3DS kind of like tripped over itself when it launched was not just because it launched at like $250 and didn't really have a great launch lineup, but because there was a lot of developers and consumers who really were just thinking that like, oh yeah, phones are just gonna fucking smite these things out of existence.
It's so interesting how that has changed.
Now everyone is looking forward to a Switch 2. Everyone wants just a more powerful Switch.
Not just that. So like 5-10 years ago, everything was how mobile is going to kill everything. It's just going to be tablets and phones. And then now we have the Switch 2. We have a myriad of Steam Deck, and then also the competitors to the Steam Deck, these pocket PCs. And right now, the market for little retro handhelds, in the range of $99 to $200 is also super high.
Yeah, I mean, granted, these are all like niche markets, not the Switch so much, but I mean like the Steam Deck as a whole has sold like what 1/70th of what the Switch has sold. Like I think they're at like 2 million. So it's like definitely not like the widest
there's clearly a market.
Yeah, there's clearly like a desire there. Like people want these things. People want the gamer handheld form factor is just like a thing to stick around for most devices. And so I think that's been like because that I mean, if there is cross-gen, then realistically there's not really any reason for Nintendo to sort of treat the end of the Switch 1's life like it's the end of the Switch 1. Realistically, they could just, continue business as usual if all these games are brought forward. But they are the thing is, Nintendo is in an interesting position where they've already released like 2 fucking Game of the Year bangers this year. And there's still like 3.5 months to go. Like it's almost like I'm curious what they have to show, not just because like there's a new console looming, and I'm curious how they're gonna fill out the schedule until then and what they're gonna show and what might be cross-generation compatible, but also like how they just figure to close out the year when they already have like a super fucking solid year of software.
What's interesting is that if you look at PlayStation 5, and I know Nintendo is not Sony, so they can't do the same thing, but PlayStation 5 sold on the concept of it being a PlayStation 5 and literally was a system that had backwards compatibility with the last gen, but was still selling on remasters of games that you can already play on that. I don't know what that means about the market.
I think what it might mean is honestly just the fact that like we're in this weird era where like there are already games that are basically pushing the PS5 and Xbox Series X to like their limits.
Yeah.
For the most part, these are consoles that are literally so powerful that it's extremely hard for an average developer, even an average AAA developer, to actually exploit that. And between the lack of ability to make between like the lack of sales for the new consoles and the fact that the old ones are so widely available and have already have like large install audiences, it's just this kind of, we're in this era where there's like almost nothing new is exclusive to the new stuff. And that's usually been the case when new consoles come out. It's just never lasted this long and this seriously, where there's really not much that's actually like 100% exclusive to the new stuff. And
well, I'll say that's because like a lot of that is happening like now. We're
Yeah.
really only seeing a lot of that stuff kind of come into play. We've seen some stuff like Resident Evil 4 remake and Street Fighter 6 for example only have like PS4 iterations. They don't have last gen Xbox One. It actually seems like last gen Xbox One releases are like done.
Yeah,
It seems like no developer has anything planned for the base Xbox One. And now we're even seeing some games announced that are like PS5, Series X, and Switch only, which is really wild. Like Mortal Kombat 1, I think is next gen and Switch only. And there was this morning there was a can we talk about an ESRB leak? Is that okay?
Go on, I guess.
There was a ESRB listing that said that not only is like the Arkham trilogy coming to Switch, which we already knew about because that was in the last direct, but Gotham Knights.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
okay.
weird.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a game that doesn't even really run well on current gen either, let alone like the Steam Deck. So it'd be very like I mean like I guess that's the situation with Arkham Knight too, but now we're seeing like an even we're seeing like an even bigger like gap in tech. I mean, I think I think that's going to be great when there is new hardware and you know that gap is like a lot close. But that's another topic for another day. We're talking about what they're going to announce soon.
Yeah.
But I mean yeah. I mean, as much as I love remasters and remakes and Nintendo are one of the few companies that I think can actually do them right or at least like
Consistently.
Decently.
yeah, like consistent cohesively, not in like a horrible, offensive way.
You can have your RE2 remake that's good and your RE4 remake that's good, but don't you expect that RE3 remake to also be good?
Yeah. I mean, like at worst Nintendo remakes are just like ports, and which I personally I find fine. But I am curious to see if they like what they do have, if they do have anything new for these last few months.
On that note, I just want to get this out there. Maybe they'll say they're making a new console. I would not expect a first look at the Switch successor.
Yeah, I wouldn't say to expect anything Switch successor related.
I almost
in this
expect
direct.
them to.
I think it's gonna get its own sort of announcement thing at some point before the next fiscal year, so that they can then talk about it at their investor meeting. But I don't think we'll see anything of it. I think it will just be a special video announcement at some point in the first quarter of next year.
I don't remember, when was the Switch officially announced? Because I remember
like
that launch video.
October 20th, 2016?
Well, but Nintendo had also like acknowledged that it was called the NX for like at least a year.
Yeah,
beforehand.
but I think in that situation it was a bit different because of the fact that the Wii U was like dying. So they were like, we need our investors and stuff to know that we are working on the next system that won't be too long. So they name dropped the NX early.
The NX thing, was just to
Yeah, whereas they don't need that now. They probably don't want to reveal it until
it's the opposite
year it
now.
comes
They want
out.
to keep selling the Switch.
Yeah, because this is the thing, right? Anything they announce now is going to be for the Switch, not the Switch 2, and we're going to get stuff that's going into like probably half of next year as well, and they want that to sell. So
they don't want people. They don't want it to have them like infighting. They don't want the people concerns about waiting for the new console to cannibalize sales of the old one. Also, while we were talking, I did just check because I was interested. Nintendo announced that they were developing a new console in 2015.
2015,
They called it NX, and so waited like a year and a half before the Switch is formally revealed and announced.
Yeah, but they were like talking about it. The way they were talking about NX is they were doing the DS third pillar thing. where they were
Yeah.
like, it's actually not a 3DS or Wii U successor. It's a whole new thing.
It's both.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
well, I mean, it kind of was in the sense that it
Well,
was
yeah,
both,
but
yeah.
they're doing that marketing thing where they're like, oh no, it's actually don't worry about it. If you like,
Yeah,
but
it won't
you don't.
replace the other two. You're fine.
You don't want. I mean, to be fair, also you kind of don't. It's generally you don't want to basically announce a product that
of course
legitimizes your old product.
Yeah.
But even if the old product is selling as badly as the Wii U.
Yeah, because what reason do people have to then buy the Wii U if they think it's just going to be replaced immediately?
And that kind of goes with how they do hardware too, or software too. Like they don't. That's part of why they always have the gimmicks. Is that they want each one to feel kind of distinct because that way it justifies selling all of them, even though in practice they actually don't do that at all.
Yeah. But going back to F-Zero, before we went off on that, I guess, do we all think that is something? Do we all think it's a GX remake, a remaster?
I think
something
that's
on that
like.
level?
I feel like that's what I'd want. like not to say that I don't want a new F-Zero, but it's just like, yeah, I mean that is the that is the one, you know, like that is the one to have.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, Spazzy, please.
No, I'm just agreeing with Colin. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the quintessential F-Zero, and I think it's it's been so long that the game still feels great, and I feel like all we would need is an update of that to reintroduce us to that world, and then perhaps on the Switch successor, if this sells well enough, well,
we get F-Zero 99.
F-Zero is one of those things. Kind of like GX is kind of like some of these things. Also, Mother 3 I would count in the same pile of like, it'll probably happen eventually. Maybe it'll happen sooner than later, but eventually it's going to happen. Like it. So because of that, it's one of those where I'm like, it would not surprise me to see that at literally this direct. It would also not surprise me to only see it at a direct in a decade.
Right. Yeah.
But like, yeah, it would not surprise me either way.
Yeah, it's an inevitability.
I mean, like, games built around having like a constant, stable 60 FPS. When you have any of those old games that's like built around running as fast as possible, like, yeah, it's gonna hold up like crazy.
60 FPS, widescreen, and slightly spruced up graphics, plus the excellent soundtrack. Yeah, no, that's gonna be a fantastic looking game.
Hell yeah.
In the theoretical inevitable remaster.
Yeah. I like what you said about F-Zero 99, Colin, just because I think an F-Zero Battle Royale, essentially, is like such a really fun concept.
Yeah, that's actually kind of awesome.
Yeah, like the Death Race mode is basically that. Just replace all the CPUs with
F-Zero, but
people.
like the track is like 50 fucking miles long.
I think that the way the Death Race works is usually like a loop.
Oh my god, and it gets more and more congested as it goes on.
It's like, basically just driving through Baby Park at 300 cc.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's an awesome idea, and it would actually be kind of fun to see that as Nintendo's like own hat thrown into the vehicular combat genre.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah.
It works.
We don't need cannons or guns. We just have our own cars. That's how dangerous this world is.
I was gonna say, I kind of hope we get a new 99 game, because when was the last one? Pac-Man?
Yeah, you're stealing my predictions.
Yeah.
So all right, fine. I'll have a slightly.
We have predictions.
I'll have a slightly different one. GoldenEye 99.
No, yeah, because I mean, Pac-Man is ending in October, which means that we're due a new one, man.
So is there only one? Is it just Tetris 99?
It's just Tetris, the only surveyor of the
Great 99 Wars.
Is it Eureka games? Because they did Super Mario 35 died, and then now Pac-Man 99 is dying, and
the end of the Battle Royale.
See, Eureka also do Dr. Mario, and they haven't done a Dr. Mario in a while.
Dr. Mario 99. Oh Christ!
Yeah.
Oh Christ!
They couldn't release it over the last 3 years for social and political reasons. But now
My
it's fun.
99 prediction is Balloon Fight 99. Even though it's not going to happen, I think that would be
that'd be really good, actually.
That would actually be quite fun.
Yeah.
A lot of those like early NES games actually could probably fit the format, since it's very clear that this is a workable
very
one.
arcadey.
Mario Bros. Actually might be good too.
There are 99 Mario Bros.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't done Donkey Kong 99 yet. That's another
Wrecking
one.
Crew 99.
Yeah, you got to think about how these games would have like
Urban Champion
99 people or like actually fighting each other.
Oh my god! Imagine Punch Out 90.
How does that work? You gotta have like 99 people, 100 people in the ring.
It's like a 99 person like faux third person brawler in the ring.
I think Balloon Fight, because if you do the balloon trip option where you're going left to right, like I feel like that just like it fits with what a 99 is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is just your like minor like retro Nintendo reference to point out that technically Wrecking Crew 98 already exists.
Yeah.
True. Finally, the sequel.
That's what I was thinking of. Wrecking Crew 97 or whatever. I guess it is 98. Yeah.
That's the one that redesigned Form and Spike to basically look like a Tom of Finland drawing.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
The Freddie Mercury version of Form
I was a little upset we never got the Mario version of Excite Bike that came out. It always looked very cool.
Yeah, they got a few classic things that are really cool that they should have given us.
Yeah, that's my next prediction. We're gonna get Flog finally.
Flog.
Remember
Don't know
Flog?
what that is. No, I don't.
It's that weird version of NES Golf with gyro controls. That was
like
a Switch
the
Easter egg.
One.
Yeah.
Oh,
man.
It's golf backwards.
Man, they really. I mean, like, I think about Flog a lot, not just because it's like, not just because it's like just super fucking like it's just a thing that happened, but also like, man, they put motion controls in an NES game and then just never did that again. Like that wasn't like a thing on NSO, even though it'd be kind of sick.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, I never thought about that.
Yeah,
kind of wild. All right, let's talk about the other sort of rumored game, or at least the other rumored series, because we don't really know what sort of game it is. But the last thing I saw before I decided that I was going to mute everything was that something Donkey Kong related.
Donkey Kong. Well, we heard. Well,
maybe Donkey Kong Country 99. Maybe we have it.
Oh hell yeah! Well, I was gonna say like we've been hearing like rumblings of a new DK for
a couple of years.
Yeah, I want to say since 2020. Like I feel like we were hearing about a new DK around the time like they were talking about there being a new Paper Mario, a new Metroid, and like the Mario 35 collection. Feels like this has been on sort of like the back burner for a while.
I think the major one was that was being designed by EPD, Nintendo EPD, the mainline Mario people, which is actually very exciting to me because like them doing their own take on Donkey Kong could be very exciting and very fresh.
Yeah, well, they did sort of do it because the first game EPD ever made as EPD, I'm pretty sure, was Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, which is like. Obviously using the bongos 2D Donkey Kong game, but it's been a long time since that came out, and that game is slightly weird as their own take. Like it sort of abandons everything that the Donkey Kong Country series had done up to that point. Except for DK's tie, I guess.
As I guess weird like just specific information on it. Yeah, as Nintendo EAD, they did Donkey Kong Jungle Beat in 2016. Yeah, they and SPD were fused into the EPD. Mr. EAD from F-Zero is also a reference to.
Will he be called Mr. EPD in the remaster?
Ooh, maybe, or maybe that's the son of Mr. EAD. In F-Zero.
I like the lore. I like the lore.
Yeah. You're right. It was EAD that did Jungle Beat, and EPD is, I mean, effectively the same group, but with a fusion of SPD combined with it. But I'd be interested in seeing what they do with the Donkey Kong franchise. Whether or not we're seeing it now, though, that's my big question, because I feel like it's one of those things, we're coming to the end of the Switch life cycle. It feels like we should see it at some point. But I also do wonder if showing it off now, when Super Mario Brothers Wonder is a month away, is a good idea. It feels like those would clash horribly with each other.
At the very least, would be potentially surprising to have the first mainline Donkey Kong in a decade.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first new mainline Donkey Kong in an entire decade, just be kind of like thrown as a swan song.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could just be like, I feel like I could see it just being like a spring 2024.
Yeah, it's just
like kind of like what they Kirby.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that. I think a different game might have that slot, but I could see it being a spring-summer game for next year. I just don't think they would announce it now if that was the case. I'm wondering whether or not, because I've been joking about this whenever they said,
as I said
before,
the
second Donkey Kong came up, I was like, here we go, Donkey Kong 94 on NSO.
Hell yeah!
It's time. That's the big announcement.
See, that's the thing, right? Like that's the dealio. Is it's like new Donkey Kong, like brilliant, epic, like hand it over. But if it's fucking like Mario versus
it's not going to be Mario versus Donkey Kong. They're not. Their EPD is not. I don't think.
No, but it doesn't have to be EPD.
But,
they could be other
Mario,
Donkey Kong games in
development. That's
Mario versus Donkey Kong '99.
Actually, I see someone in the chat said.
The one other thing I think is that, like, in the last Direct, there was basically like a dedicated Mario section where it was, Mario got a game, Peach got a game, Luigi got a game. There's a game with Mario and Peach and Bowser in it, and it's very kind of notable that, this is probably their kind of by the way, that movie you saw that you probably liked? Here's a game that we're making with that character. So it seemed to me, I would assume that they'd have wanted just to say, oh, by the way, there's a Donkey Kong thing we're working on. We're just not going to tell you more about it for a while.
Donkey Kong dating sim. I get it.
Yes. Donkey Talk.
We were saying if Donkey Kong's 2024, they might not show it off here, but they did show off that Peach game, and which I assume we're gonna see more of here.
The way we're talking, guys, are we really gonna go and person by person and put our predictions, because we keep just saying
we will do after this.
Well, yeah, but there's there's a few topics that are a bit fluid to each other,
and also we're kind of also guessing a lot of the same, or at least some of the same things too.
Yeah, I mean,
there's only so many months we can talk about. There's only so many games we can talk about.
So I do think that Peach game will get a title drop and a release date in this one. That's the game I think is their spring 2024 title, the March game that fits where Kirby has been previously. Because they've also used that slot for stuff like Yoshi Crafted World was also that March slot. And so I just feel like the Peach game fits there quite nicely.
Yeah, I think it would be a smart move.
Oh, sorry, go for it.
I was gonna say put that and Luigi's Mansion out around the same time. I think that's a pretty solid spring.
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion 2 I think will be slightly earlier, like maybe January or February, something like that. I still think Luigi's Mansion 1 is also going to come out, but I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be announced in this Direct. I think that will be announced closer to Luigi's Mansion 2's launch.
Maybe what happens is Luigi's Mansion 2 is coming out. Oh, by the way, we're going to shadow drop this other version of Luigi's Mansion 1.
Yeah, see, I think Luigi's Mansion 1 will be shadow dropped. I just for some reason don't think it's going to... Actually, no, I have a good reason. It's a prediction for why it won't happen here, but I'll save that for when we're going through them all. But yeah, Luigi's Mansion 2 I also think will get a release date. And I think it'll be before Peach. But with Donkey Kong, just to sort of cap off this topic, I do think that I'm not feeling like a mainline Donkey Kong game. I don't feel like that EPD one will be here just because of Mario Wonder. But the idea of Mario versus Donkey Kong again is possible because, I mean, when was the last one, right? Was it like Amiibo Challenge or whatever they called it back on
Looking
back
this
in
up
the
right
Wii U
now.
and 3DS? I feel like it's been ages since the last Mario versus Donkey Kong games, and I know that they got progressively less popular.
Less good, less respected.
Yeah. But I think delaying them is a good shout. Sorry,
No, you're actually right. I am surprised. It doesn't seem like there was one on Switch.
Yeah.
That's extremely weird.
Mhm.
Like, no, that's nuts. I was very confident that there had been a crappy Switch one that no one liked and that kind of just quietly went away.
No, and this is the thing, NST, who I'm pretty sure the developers who make the Mario Bros. Donkey Kong games, I was having a chat with a few people like a week or so ago about them, and I realized that they haven't released anything since 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, which they helped on, which was what, 2021, right? It's been like 2 years since they released any game or worked on any game, so maybe we'll get Mario versus Donkey Kong instead. Game is just an NSO port. I mean, that is also fine because that's the best Mario versus Donkey Kong game.
I'll say this much:
It's the Game Boy Advance one.
I'll take a new Mario versus Donkey Kong if it's a new fucking video game. Like, I don't. If it's a Mario, I don't want to remake. I don't want to remaster. Just throw all those on NSO. But like, God, I just want DK94 too.
Yeah,
the
first Mario vs. Donkey Kong was essentially that to a degree.
Yeah, it was that.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not.
It was close. It was close.
It was an attempt to be a sequel to Donkey Kong 94, but then the series went completely off the rail after that.
DK94 is like a 2D version of Mario 64, and then Mario versus DK is like a different video game entirely.
Just as a quick note, I just wanted to mention to the comments, Yellow Letters asks who's doing the Luigi's Mansion 2 remaster. Is it Next Level? And yeah, Next Level is they're the ones doing it.
Yeah,
if there is a Luigi's,
it's their code and everything.
Yeah.
And
makes more sense.
Has Donkey Kong 64 has Donkey Kong 94 been on? Is it?
It's on NSO, I believe.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not on NSO.
It's not on NSO.
That's why I said that earlier. Like that was
one of
the on NSO.
That was one of the big. That's the other thing too. I want to know what the hell they're gonna do with NSO this month. I mean, they did that crazy lineup like a week ago of Japanese only and Quest for Camelot.
Because of that, I
great,
don't think we're getting another Game Boy update. Like, it feels to me like Nintendo of America and Europe sort of realized how long it had been since the last NES and SNES games were added. And so we're like, let's just chuck on the ones that are all on the Japanese NSO already. We'll just make them available on the English ones and then chuck Quest for Camelot on there so that there's something new. Because Japan's not going to get that game because it was, I'm guessing, a licensed game that only came out over here in the West.
But it is that, the thing is though, it's that time of the year again where if you subscribed to NSO when it first became live, when it first became paid, that was this month.
Yes.
All those years ago. So, I mean, I feel like I've always said this, and then it's like there's like a 50% chance of it becoming true. But it always seems around this time is when they do the big like new console or new feature announcement or new game announcement for NSO. So whether it's a 99, whether it's like TurboGrafx 16 or something, maybe we'll see.
I want to take this time real quick to just laud the June update for the Sega Genesis, because I don't think I've been on a Source Gaming where I've talked about Good Morning Game. Like, dude, that was Landstalker, Crusader of Senti, Ghouls and Ghosts, and Shinobi are like all-time like classic, great. they're bangers, man. They're some of the best Genesis games, and we got them all in one go. And I just want to say that like,
Landstalkers game is strange. I did try playing that.
it is good though. It's interesting. It's because
it is
like,
very interesting.
Yeah, Crusader of Senti is much more of a straight Legend of Zelda clone, and that one is more taking the idea of an isometric adventure game with like, you know, slight RPG elements and like reworking it into like their own thing. But it's good, but when you approach it like as somebody who plays a lot of like 2D Zelda, you're like, this is weird. Why am I jumping at a weird angle?
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
sorry.
I'm gonna make this my first official prediction now that we've gone through the two rumored things. But NSO, as we were talking about it, I think that we will get a new console, and I think that the console we're gonna get is the Game Gear.
Fuck yeah.
I think sticking with Sega for now rather than introducing TurboGrafx through Konami. I think it just sort of works. They probably already lined up Game Gear, and it's also just like a very easy one to add as well. Like, it's very similar to the Genesis, but obviously it's their handheld one. So I can see the Game Gear being added with a bunch of games. I've kind of had this theory for a while, which is why I chose not to buy the Sonic Origins DLC, which is like mostly Game Gear games, because I feel like most of them are going to be given to me for free as part of NSO. But yeah,
I think Neo Geo
I think we'll get is my first prediction.
I think Neo Geo is the one that would add the most value, but I feel like SNK just likes selling those on the Nintendo Switch.
I don't think. Yeah, I think basically it has to be by someone who isn't already selling this stuff on NSO. Also, no Square, but also like Square's.
Konami and Capcom both are doing the heavy hitters on Genesis, but not on the Super Nintendo or Nintendo. Like they're fine with doing Mega Man and Ghosts and Goblins, although those are on whatever. Castlevania, Contra, they're like, yeah, sure, we'll put that on Genesis, but not on SNES. And I think it's because of the premium pricing on that. They're obviously getting a little bit of kickback.
Everyone who is part of the package is getting something.
I also think that if they did add Castlevania, for example, on NSO, they'd have to add all three of them. There'd be like an expectation, or Mega Man would have to have all
Super,
six. Whereas Genesis, there's just the one of both.
Yeah.
So you also can add
those
them
are
on
less.
And be like,
those are also less like popular, just in terms of culturally speaking. So you can sell Castlevania 1, 2, 3, and Super, and
the funny part is because N64 is part of the premium Wolfman, I could see them being like, yeah, Bomberman 64.
Let's do it. Bomberman 64 and Castlevania 64.
Yeah.
Just give me Mystical Ninja, goddammit, on NSO. Like that's like one of the best 64 games, and Konami has done nothing with that franchise since the DS re-release, DS game in 2008. It's awful.
I'm going with Colin though. I think TurboGrafx. I can, because TurboGrafx was even like, if you look at what systems were on the Wii U Virtual Console, a lot of them weren't. TurboGrafx almost a complete library that was on Wii was also on Wii U. Game Gear wasn't.
Fair enough.
Also, they can probably get something out of not having to pay as much for TurboGrafx.
Yeah.
Which again,
it'd be curious if it's like, see, because that's the other thing. Like, we got GBA earlier this year, and I think a lot of it also then has to tie to like, it seems like if they want to update NSO, they have to make sure that like both parties, people who have just like the stock NSO and people who have the expansion, are both getting new stuff. So it'd be curious, like if they do have anything to announce, because it would probably mean they would have to have stuff for both. I would love to see, like, I mean, a really nice thing would be a new like basic tier. Maybe that doesn't happen because of the licensing, but like new basic tier for like a, you know, like because Game Gear and TurboGrafx, those are all like 8-bit consoles, like, so.
The not as expansive expansion pass.
Yeah, they're not gonna be, but licensing may differ, so I don't know. But like, if it is a basic tier, then like, I'm curious what they would do for expansion pack. Probably reveal one of those N64 games they still have not released yet.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2 and 64.
Yes! Oh, yes!
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it this Direct last year where they showed off, and this is what we're getting next year for the Nintendo 64 and SO? Because they were like, these Mario Party 1 and 2 coming next month, and then the rest of them.
Never.
We obviously still haven't had, we still haven't had 3, and we still haven't had 1080 snowboarding, and Japan hasn't had Harvest Moon yet, so we're still...
And I mean,
still
I'm sure
waiting.
they're gonna get to like, I'm sure they're not gonna just do like, maybe this is copium, but like I'm sure they're not gonna just do Banjo-Kazooie without Tooie, or GoldenEye without Perfect Dark.
Yeah, I think I think the reason why things are being a bit slow with these is that NSO and these
they really
apps
want to drag it
will
out.
just they'll be on the next system exactly as they are now. Nintendo won't make us wait for Super Mario
because otherwise they would have.
Time.
Otherwise, the Game Boy lineup wouldn't be like 4 games.
Exactly.
The Game Boy lineup is like, like Super Mario.
Where's my Gator Pinball? Actually, is Gator Pinball available? I don't know.
It's not. No. Like Super Mario Land 1 isn't like great. It's one of the weaker, probably one of the weakest of the Super Mario games, but like it's still Super Mario Land 1. Like it's insane that it's not on there.
DK is not on there.
None of the Donkey Land games are there.
Yeah.
Where's my Alleyway?
Yeah,
I loved Alleyway so much as a kid. Yeah.
Alleyway Kicks, is that what the QIX one? Solar Striker, like all these like really odd.
Yeah, all of the pre-Game Boy Color Game Boy games that people.
All these like early launch Game Boy games that feel like they should have been there from the start aren't here. But yeah, that's because I think they're gonna hold off and have this keep going along with the next system as well.
Yeah.
Which means that getting new 64 games will almost certainly happen, and it'll be like Super Smash Brothers and Donkey Kong 64 and Diddy Kong Racing. But I think like with GBA as well, they'll probably do what they've been currently doing and pacing out, so it's 64 this month, GBA next month, 64 the month after, stuff like that. So they might be able to get away with just announcing first parties again for next year on 64, the remaining handful that they haven't announced yet. But we're eventually going to have to hit them doing stuff like Perfect Dark.
Listen, there are a lot of different cruising games that they can add. So.
This is true. Yeah. Well, I think this is the thing. In these sort of announcements, they seem to do the ones that would hit all the countries. Japan gets to be funny exclusive. We're going to have just Harvest Moon here. But like Pokemon Puzzle League, for example, got dropped on N64 NSO and wasn't announced previously. It was just there because Japan got custom Robo, and it would mean that we in the West didn't get anything. So I actually think when Harvest Moon 64 drops, they'll give us Cruisin', because that's also a Western only Nintendo IP. So whenever Harvest Moon is planned to drop, we'll just randomly get the first Cruisin' game dropped as well. But I don't know if they'll announce
extremely odd parody.
Oh yeah, what did you want to say, Spazzy?
No, I said, how do you want to do this, Nintendo? Do you want to just everybody says one thing, or we just go over a list?
Well, yeah, so that was my first prediction, so I was going to pass it over to Colin now to give a prediction, and then we can bounce off of these and stuff and share stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, that seems better than doing a list.
Yeah.
I don't really have any predictions, but like, I am, as always, I am always curious to see what like third party ports they try to sling at us.
That's actually going to be one of my predictions. If you want to pass that to me with third party ports.
Well, one thing I want to
no, actually, it's not a port; it's a collection. So.
Well, one thing I wanted to is it a Square Enix RPG collection?
It's always that's what I always. And there always is one.
It's the Secret of Evermore collection, but
it's one game.
It's just one game. But it's the HD 2D remake of Secret of Evermore. But I mean, I think it was interesting because last time we had a
Secret of
direct.
Evermore and Illusion of Gaia and
Ooh.
Secret of and they're not connected at all. Different. One was even published by Enix, but just put them together anyways. People
I
don't
think
care.
the last time we had a direct, I said it would be interesting to see if they talk about any cloud stuff because, like, if we're gonna move on to a more powerful system, then like what does the purpose of the cloud stuff serve other than just to waste your money? So I guess my prediction is we're still not going to see any new cloud stuff. Actually, the last like 2 or 3 cloud ports, I don't know if you guys know this, but like the last 2 or 3 cloud ports that have been released onto the eShop have been done in like the most disingenuous, like bullshit way possible, because they like an example of this is like they announced Alien Fireteam Elite, and you had to like read the tiny text at the bottom of the eShop page that said, actually, this is a cloud game, by the way. You have to be connected to the internet.
That shouldn't be allowed.
Nothing on the title or the advertising or anything mentioned that it was a fucking cloud game, which is like, that should just not be the case. It almost makes me wonder if Nintendo themselves is done, because it's still powered by all the same like servers and tech and everything, but they didn't announce this one. They didn't advertise this one. I wonder if they're done. But I would love to see some weird late gen third party Switch ports. I guess that Gotham Knights thing would fall under that category, but I'm sure they got 1 or 2 like weird ones. Actually, more Fatal Frame. Fatal Frame 4 was what? Like in March, April? That's enough time for them to do a remaster of 1, 2, and or 3. They can do it.
No, yeah, I mean that would be good. They've been going around trying to get all the Fatal Frame games. I wonder how well the new one did. No, that's a Castlevania game, Circle of Moon. Whatever the Suda 51 was.
Yeah, Fatal Frame 4.
Yeah, because I feel like Maiden of the Blackwater got like quite a big sort of an announcement and then release date, and people were like into it. And then this one, they announced it, I remember, but then it just kind of came out, and I didn't know it was out until like 2 or 3 weeks after the fact. It was like really weird.
Are they releasing Gotham Knights for Switch? Do you mean Arkham Knight? There was an ESRB thing earlier that where they said Gotham Knights, the Nintendo Switch was listed for Gotham Knights. I do not mean Arkham Knight. But yeah, I also have the same reservations about it not being last gen and also kind of running like doo-doo.
I mean, maybe that's a cloud version.
But they don't do multiplayer. Well, that's the thing. I guess Aliens Fireteam Elite is like the one time they actually did like a multiplayer game on a cloud thing. But yeah, I don't know. But
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
All right. Fuzzy, what's your collection then?
Oh, yeah. Obviously, we're at a point now where I feel like, especially with the Final Fantasy pixel remasters, Super Mario RPG, that we're cutting it to the point where the Square Enix games that people want, most of them are available. Maybe some of the later Dragon Quests people would like. I get that. But I'm going to go one of 2 ways. The first is Chrono Trigger. No, I'm kidding. That's never happening. So the first one is a lot of these.
Jinxed it. This is the one.
This is it.
Hey man, I'm not going to complain if they do it.
Yeah, everyone's gonna be like, "Ha ha! You got the thing you wanted."
I feel like at this point, if they do Chrono Trigger, it's going to have to be some sort of remaster or something. I think they're not just gonna,
like a HD 2D game or something.
Yeah. But I feel like they've been dropping a lot of the Enix games, like ActRaiser Renaissance and stuff, doing like remakes of them. So I think that the Soul Blazer trilogy, the Quintet games, Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, and Terranigma, all might see some sort of remake in a similar style. I just feel like that is going to happen at some point. I don't know about now. The other one is Final Fantasy Tactics is not on Switch, and that just seems like something that they would like.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that they would just.
Yeah.
they would just drop. They would just drop with an HD skin and call it a remaster, or throw it in with the Game Boy Advance game with Tactics Advance as a collection. Like that one just seems like a no-brainer. That it's weird that it has not happened yet. So,
yeah, have the Final Fantasy Tactics games ever been re-released? I feel like didn't they get like PSP ports or are those
yes,
remakes?
they did. Well,
why would they have to remaster Chrono Trigger? Because it's not on consoles. That's why. I can't play it on my Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could just just release.
Yeah, they could just drop the ROM, but clearly they don't want to do that.
Yeah. Square has been very notably reticent at releasing just standard versions of Super Nintendo games.
Yeah.
They could have easily just released the Super Nintendo versions of the Final Fantasies, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. And even like the games, like I'm saying, like I would rather have played regular ActRaiser, but they're whatever. That's just what they do.
Yeah. Sorry, Wolfman, I interrupted you. Continue. Go on.
No, I was just saying that there's a lot of reasons why they're not, or a lot of probable reasons why they're not, and many of them are silly, but they do seem very uncomfortable with pre-PS1 games being released just as they are. I don't know if that's because they think that they're not interesting, or because they think that they look too outdated, or maybe there is like an assumption that Chrono Trigger would need to be a little bit more. It'd be nice if they had like the DS version of Chrono Trigger. That's the one I played.
Yeah, that's the better version of Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like the PS1 version ported to the DS.
Well, it's a bit better than the PS1 version. It has the elements from the PS1, but it plays a lot better than that.
It's not as glitchy as the PS1 version.
It's got the rewritten script as well. Like from my understanding of Chrono Trigger DS, they did sort of just build it from the ground up again and just added in all the features from the PS1 one and obviously the Super Nintendo one, and then more as well. They added new endings and stuff.
They should get that guy that just put the PS1 cutscenes and soundtrack in the SNES version and just release that.
So the Shiggy Diggy says, I heard the Steam port was kind of shitty, like there was something wrong with the text.
They're mobile ports.
The mobile and Steam ports were very infamously poor. I think the mobile versions had different graphics that were very ugly. The Steam version was kind of unplayable. Apparently there was a PC update that improved it, but still.
A proper HD 2D remake of Chrono Trigger, I think, would be pretty good. I think the Chrono Trigger DS is like perfect, but if they were going to remaster this game, I would rather they do it the HD 2D route than the pixel remaster route. So if I had to pick I'd rather just two poisons.
I'd rather just straight up pixel art than either.
Yeah, but
I would just rather.
You can't pick the best option, Colin. That's not how Square works.
They will probably do one or the other.
Yeah.
Although speaking of Square Enix remasters and remakes,
real quick, Nintendo's Final Fantasy Tactics: War of the Lions. I remembered it a certain way, but I wanted to look it up. Yeah, that was like a complete remake with like a bunch of new mechanics and everything for the PSP. So in the Tactics, I guess there are 3 mainline Tactics games, which are Tactics and then Tactics: War of the Lions, which in a collection I think you would probably include both.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. Whoa.
My dog does not like that. He's like, if you have the superior version, why would you have the first one? And then there's the DS Tactics game and the GBA Tactics game. Okay, I'm gonna put myself on mute now.
That dog is going fucking crazy. There's a whole Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie happening behind him. Holy shit.
All right, before we move on to Wolfman, I just wanted to bring up that speaking of Square Enix stuff, I kind of would like them to redo Vagrant Story if they were going to do anything, because that game, I watched a friend play that recently, and that game is wild. It looks like really good on the PlayStation 1. It feels like super crazy in depth, especially for the time. I'd kind of be interested in seeing it.
Interestingly enough, Vagrant Story is one of the Avalis games, so that's actually set in the same world as Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. games are. I have it right here because I was looking it up. Final Fantasy Tactics, Vagrant Story, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy 12 Revenant Wings, Tactics, War of the Lions, Grimoire of the Rift, Crystal Defenders. Yeah, so that that would actually make sense to be released in some sort of collection for Tactics.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. They've already re-released Final Fantasy 12. Let's just get the rest of them all out there.
In the same way that it would be fun to have let's say if, I don't know, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth also comes, and if you beat it, you get a bonus mode, which is just, guys, God bless the ring.
Yeah. All right, Wolfman, then, do you want to give your prediction?
Yeah, I have one main prediction, and it's an easy one because, to be honest, I, as a rule, like to either choose things that seem obvious or shooting the moon. So for the obvious one, at the second half of in the second half of the presentation, if not like the second to last thing or the third to last thing, EJ Uyanuma comes out and basically says, "Thank you for playing and enjoying The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We have seen all the stuff you do on social media. It's great. While we have nothing to announce for the game and we're not going to do DLC, we do want to have an extra Zelda thing," and at which point they release either Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess HD, or a collection, or not a collection, but a discount for buying Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD together.
Okay.
That's
them ports then.
Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD. I guess that's the ones we all assume they would port.
Yeah.
I think they would just
maybe I should better say a Zelda thing, and those just seem like the most obvious ones. But Zelda thing.
Yeah, it would be cool and epic if they dropped those, or they just did new remasters of both. But
I think Wind Waker HD is fine. I think Twilight Princess HD is the one that could potentially do with the.
Yeah, they got to get rid of all those fucking Shutterstock textures. Whatever's going on with that remaster,
and they'd have to go through and get rid of all the stamps as well.
Yeah, and also
they added to the game
the weird piss filter over the whole game. Man, I hate what they did to Twilight Princess. I know that game was murky as shit on the Wii, but like I don't understand how like saturating the fuck out of the image is gonna save it.
Actually, I wonder what a Wind Waker HD would do for the Tingle bottle, because that was obviously you get like a Miiverse thing, right? So if they don't have that, they're gonna have to replace that if they were to ever release it on the Switch. But what will it do? Because the Tingle bottle existed to replace the Tingle tuner.
I don't think
Wind Waker HD didn't connect to the Game Boy. So now Wind Waker. How are they going to replace the Tingle bottle with what feature?
It connects to My Nintendo, maybe, or whatever.
I was going to say, some in chat, hot take, I don't like the bloom in Wind Waker HD. I think that's the thing most people are like, that's like the thing people hinge on their like of Wind Waker HD on, is the bloom. It's like specifically that.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of ambivalent to mixed about it. Like, on one hand, it looks very pretty. On the other hand, it does make what made Wind Waker the most interesting visually less interesting.
I think it would look really good if the Switch actually supported like high dynamic range in any capacity, because clearly it wants to have. They're trying to add some cool contrast, but like. It's like full lighting, and then they added bloom to it, so it's just like makes the game way too bright. But some extra contrast would go a long way. Maybe on Switch 2 they can do Wind Waker RTX, and it's all it's all ray trace lighting. That would actually probably look fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, Wind Waker 4K.
Yeah.
Computer died. So
okay, yeah, I do think.
Welcome to me talking on my phone on a live stream. Very professional of me, I know.
I've done that before. It's
okay. Why has this happened?
You sound like Eric Roberts in A Talking Cat.
I'm turning. Well, my pre-show, I was talking about how my computer's dying, and it did. It died. I'm gonna see if I can turn it back on.
Oh no! All right. Well,
I like I won't die on this stream. Real quick, because I think this is important. My Zelda prediction is a sequel to Crossbow Training, but it's going to be Linkle's Crossbow Training, and it's going to be Nintendo's first foray into the looter shooter genre.
I mean, honestly, I think like Nintendo making a loot shooter is probably the one thing that could make me interested in that genre.
I mean, yeah, it's the same for me.
It's very much like a
Anyone's
Skinner
gonna do
box
it.
design.
I think if we see anything Zelda, it will be an NSO game announcement. I don't know, like it seems like they have a bunch of other like ports and remakes they want to release. We haven't even talked about fucking Metroid yet, which
that was
yeah.
that's gonna be my prediction going back round. So hold on a sec.
Yeah, I won't get there yet. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think. I think. I would rather them just put more like. Because what's left? What's left of the Zelda stuff that isn't on NSO? It's like Four Swords, right? And then like the GBA version, A Link to the Past.
Yeah, the GBA version of A Link to the Past, I think, is the only game that's missing that they would probably actually add. Like, 'cause they're not going to add the original version of Link's Awakening. They're not going to add the Satellaview games as much as I think they should.
There's literally nothing else.
Yeah, there's nothing else.
Zelda is, for better and worse, Zelda has never been inundated with spin-offs to the degree that Mario is.
Yeah.
Like,
but the thing is like, because now you can do all the GBA Link and GB Link stuff, and it's all online.
Yeah, so you can actually play Four Swords.
Yeah.
The way it was intended.
Yeah.
Although, on the topic of Zelda, there is one thing Zelda-related that I think will be here, and that's just the release date for those two amiibo that they announced.
Yeah.
The Ganondorf and Zelda amiibo, because those don't have a release date, and I feel like with Aonuma basically saying there's going to be no DLC coming, I feel like they may as well just get them out then.
Yeah.
And on that similar topic for amiibo, I think the Sora amiibo will also finally get shown off. Because it's the only Super Smash Bros. One we're waiting on. And that, yeah.
I've been kind of like wondering, like, Disney Square difficulties maybe making that more difficult.
I think it's just it's not a case of it wouldn't happen. I think it's just a case that there's so many hands it has to pass through that it just takes
exactly.
Because Kingdom Hearts has merch, like so there's no reason why it wouldn't get merch here. Especially because Amiibo basically all sell out, like always.
It's just,
so there's no reason to not do it.
Yeah, it's just that, like, passing through everything related to Kingdom Hearts is just a giant pain in the ass.
Yeah,
like, and that's probably. I mean, we literally have spent years talking about that with Sora as a character, but Sora as an amiibo would not fare much better, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But
okay, so my second prediction then, because we're all loop background, is that Metroid. I think this is going to be the big thing from this Direct. We're coming to the end of the Switch's life cycle. Metroid Prime 4 has to be shown off.
That's right. Metroid Prime 2 plus 3 will be shown off.
I mean, that would be cool too.
Yeah.
I think we will get all three of them. My current thought process is that Metroid Prime 2 will be shadow drops, just like how Metroid Prime 1 was. And then Metroid Prime 3 will also be revealed to be in development, but coming at a later date. I don't think they'll give an actual release date, but they might just say 2024. And I think it will be like January or February 2024. And then I think the Direct will end on Metroid Prime 4 being actually first officially revealed with a trailer.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, and then it will also be 2024 will be the release date, and then I think it'll actually come out. It'll probably be like the Switch's swan song, like the last major game it gets, so June or July of next year. Yeah. I don't think it will be released on Switch 2. There's a possibility it might, but it will definitely be released on Switch 1 because they promised it for Switch 1.
I think
just think there's... I think if this next Switch is backwards compatible, there's not really a reason they have to have it as a Switch 2 launch title, and they probably have other plans with that because this is obviously a game being made by Retro. I'm sure Nintendo internally has a game that they're working on over in Japan that they want as the launch title and probably don't want it clashing with Metroid. So I could see Prime 4 just being released for the Switch 1 some point towards the end of H1 next year. Whether that's May earliest, July latest, something like that.
I feel like I and this is going into a discussion for like a completely different time, but I feel like everything that like Nintendo's about to like announce and release will be like cross-gen in some capacity. I feel like some games they've already released, like Tears of the Kingdom and Pokemon Scarlet and Splatoon 3, will probably get like, you know, next-gen enhancements next time around. I am curious though how they will handle like older games if like, because you know how on Xbox the way it works is you have to download like the Xbox Series version of a game if you put in like the Xbox One disc. So I am curious if it's something like that, or but
patch.
I wouldn't doubt any of these games like not being cross-gen unless the next system really just does not have backwards compatibility for some reason.
I think it'll have the sort of thing. There's obviously the rumor recently about the Switch 2 being shown off behind closed doors, and one of the things they showed it off with was like an enhanced version of Breath of the Wild.
And even then, that might
it
be
was
more
being
of
phrased
like
as a tech demo, but I can easily see that being if you play Breath of the Wild in the Switch 2, it runs better, whether that's through a patch or something.
I mean, there's certainly things they could just do with the raw games themselves. They could just make a new like Switch 2 profile, and then the game like switches to that.
Yeah.
Like similar to how it like because the way handheld docked mode works on the Switch is actually like way more rudimentary than I think most people think. It's literally like a binary, like, is it plugged in? Is it not? And it like changes the clock speeds.
Yeah, they can add a third one to that and be like, is it Switch 2? Is it Switch 1? And just go from
But obviously
there.
that wouldn't help if there's like extra graphics, but you know, you got updates for that. So
for the Metroid games, do you guys because I do think Metroid Prime 2 and 3 are coming. Do you think that they will be full remakes? Do you think they will be
the rumor is that
there'll be like one, I think.
The rumor is that 2 and 3 are basically like ports / remasters. I think that's like not that big of a deal for 3, because Metroid Prime 3 in a higher res just looks phenomenal. That might be a little weird with 2.
Yeah, 2 I think is the one that is gonna stand out the most, especially, and they have to modify the controls on both and at least up res them. But you know,
generally you don't expect them to be fully like at all Metroid Prime 1 remaster level of remaster, but it won't, like, you'll see controls changed. You may see some slightly improved like graphics. I assume it'll play better at the very least than it does in GameCube or Wii.
See, I'm gonna counter this. I feel like with the way they did Metroid Prime 1, it would be incredibly bizarre to then have Metroid Prime 2 and Metroid Prime 3. And we know Metroid Prime 1, the graphics for it were done by an outside studio, not Retro themselves, because they're credited in the game. They got, and so if they have that studio just making the graphics, because that's really all that Metroid Prime 1 Remaster is compared to the original. It has obviously loads of controller options. It has that trophy mode, basically.
I was gonna say
the play is basically the same. So
I was gonna say I expect like we'll still get the engine upgrades, because that's the big thing about Metroid Prime Remaster, is not just the graphics, but it's also like they upgraded. It's using the Prime 4 engine, like it just is. So I would assume that's like the same thing would happen with Metroid Prime 2 and 3, because it's kind of what they did with the Metroid Prime trilogies. They updated Metroid Prime 1 and 2 to be in sort of slightly newer iterations of that engine, so they could have on the motion controls and everything. So I think we're still going to see like engine enhancements, but I could see them just like skipping graphics if they but it's also been a while, so maybe they like you said, if it is an external production house doing the textures, the graphics, then like maybe we will see those. But I would not be surprised if for Metroid Prime 2 and 3 they just focus on like all the engine improvements, because I think those are obviously less like visually appealing, but I think those are the things that actually do matter the most when it comes to these sort of re-releases.
I agree with that those matter the most, but I just feel like the visual element is the part that they all want to focus on. Instead, because they'll want them to look consistent.
I mean, but they also might just want to get them out the door, considering that one is the one that's the gold standard, and the other two are.
Yeah.
I mean, but this has been rumored for so long. I feel like they held off on releasing Metroid Prime 1 until the other two were ready.
Hey, I hope to be wrong.
It would be nice to have them better.
I'm just sort of like reserving my expectations, really. If because it's people give these development teams, these remakes and remasters too much shit. It's a lot of work. You have to basically make a whole new fucking video game. Yeah. Metroid Prime 1 is like it's insane that is a remaster, considering just like all the improvements to the engine and all the improvements to the lighting and the graphics and everything. But it is still almost assuredly like the same code running underneath.
It's like, it basically is not really much. It's ultimately not really that much less work than just making an entirely new game from scratch.
Yeah, the only difference is that they don't have the carte blanche to kind of do whatever. They have to follow guidelines and stuff.
Yeah, and also Metroid Prime 1 is the one that like needed that, alongside just being the more popular one, the more successful one. It's also the one that needed that more, because like the graphics of Metroid Prime 1 on its own are significant. Like the one, like 3 is a huge jump, but 2 is also a pretty big jump too.
Yeah.
Like I think it would be very weird to sell. It might be very weird to sell like Metroid Prime as it was.
A really good argument for Metroid Prime 3 being graphically left alone would be the Skyward Sword HD release, which basically just keeps the Wii's graphics. But I mean, so many Wii games look really fucking good when they just get a nice, texture resolution, anti-aliasing bump, essentially.
Yeah, no, Skyward Sword looks great. Like, Skyward
60
Sword,
FPS, yeah.
It didn't look as good on the Wii because the Wii wasn't an HD console, and because of that, it made the art look a little too muddied, which I know is kind of part of the point of the art direction, but it looks just fundamentally significantly better now, while still keeping that like kind of painterly aesthetic.
But hey, I'd love to be wrong.
Yeah. Doodle asks, "Are we expecting physical releases?" Which
Absolutely.
I assume. Yeah.
They announced a physical for like that Pikmin 1 and 2, and those
that's about to come out, right?
Those are straight ports. Those are like absolute. Those are just the fucking
Wii versions,
versions, just ported directly to the Switch, and they're getting a little bundle. So yeah, I just assume anything like in that category is just getting a physical copy.
I wonder if we'll get a reminder about Pikmin 1 too, because the physical version that comes out September 22nd.
We'll get Pikmin 5. It's already done. They were like,
Pikmin.
we heard all the hubbub about Pikmin 4. We're not repeating that again.
Hey, Pikmin 4, very successsul. So
very successful. Maybe that will get DLC actually, because
that might be fun.
Pikmin 3 got DLC, so they could just add more Dandori battles and Dandori challenges and stuff.
Maybe like a bonus gimmick stuff, like the challenge. Yeah, it's like the challenges.
Oh,
in Pikmin 3.
Oh, you know what? I can be the one to say it.
Go on, it's your prediction. So go on.
I think we're gonna see Silksong, right? Like, I think.
Yeah. Yes. Whoa.
Now that no one is fucking talking about it.
You've jinxed it already. Now we're not getting it.
Okay, I'm gonna put Silksong at the same thing of like Prime 4, Mother 3, F-Zero GX, and previously Bayonetta 3. Like, it will happen. It's gonna happen some point. There is literally nothing you lose by betting on it. God, I would love it to be true.
Oh yeah.
I would love it to be
Oh.
true.
Because
I can't
like I forget exactly, but there was a tweet because they did say they were aiming for early 2023. There was a tweet
They
where they
were.
confirmed that they were aiming for 2023, and they just had they just had to push it back one last time. So it's could could we or do we have to wait for the next Xbox thing? Because I don't know if they have
I mean,
advertising exclusivity, but they were not at
They
the
don't.
last Xbox thing.
they won't.
Don't
no,
think
but
they have.
I don't think they do.
exclusivity.
I
It
just know
probably
it's coming to
it probably
Game
ran out
Pass.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first
The,
time I played a demo of Silksong on the Switch, so I know it had some deal with Nintendo back in
Well, yeah,
2018.
yeah.
So I feel like that might be possible. We might actually see Silksong.
Yeah,
here.
we might.
It'd be really funny if Metroid Prime 4 came out before Silksong did. But it certainly is possible. It is taking just a bit too long.
I'm trying to think if there's any other like just random crazy shit I'd like to see. Just like stuff that I guess people have been anticipating but just hasn't happened. Ace Attorney 7 would be nice.
Ooh,
like
yes.
where's that been?
I mean,
like,
is the Apollo Justice trilogy out yet?
Oh, true. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they can always announce it. They can always bolster sales of a re-release by, announcing a sequel, and even for an even later date.
It's true. I just feel like they will probably wait till after, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah.
On a similar topic, though, Professor Layton is something we could see.
Yes.
More, especially because TGS, again, as Wolfman mentioned at the start of the stream, is coming up, and Level 5 have confirmed they're going to be there with all of their Fantasy Life and Professor Layton and the other two games that they've got. That Deca Police, was that one of them? The furry JRPG that looks really good, actually. So I think that we might see more of those 4 titles. I can't remember what the 4th one is in this direct. Maybe even see some playable actual gameplay footage of Professor Layton, because we've only had that very brief teaser. Because if they're going to be playable at TGS, then this is the time to show off, right? Mm-hmm.
Wild prediction. Third long lost Famicom Detective Club gets announced. God
damn.
Like I fucking hope.
It would be nice.
It would be nice.
And that's like, man, that would be another good prediction. I would love Nintendo to do another, they reach into the Disney vault and they pull out like just a wild card.
Two IP that I like, and I don't think we're going to see them now if a lot of the other stuff is rumored, F-Zero, blah, blah, blah. But like, I bring them up constantly because it's weird to me that they're both IP that had new games, not recently, but I guess more in the modern era. And both of those games sold over 1 million copies. And they're characters that got revitalized and got their image and popularity increased due to Smash Brothers. And that's Kid Icarus and Punch-Out. It's so weird that we don't have any ports of those games or new games or anything. Kid Icarus is in the Mario movie.
If I may.
They're both in the Mario movie.
They are both. Punch-Out is all over that movie. It's weird.
Punch-Out is canon to Mario now. It happened.
I mean, perhaps it always was.
It happened in Mario.
That Wii Punch-Out game, like I said, sold relatively well. And then, then he got added to Smash, and people started knowing who Little Mac was, and then nothing.
Yeah.
Go on, Wolfman.
If I may, at least with Kid Icarus, okay, I'm just going to say straight up, I absolutely love Kid Icarus Uprising. It's one of my favorite games of that year, and I would deeply, deeply love to see a remaster / remake on modern hardware without the terrible, like, 3DS controls hampering it.
Yes.
But Kid Icarus Uprising is also a 25-chapter game with dozens of unique characters, like at least one unique boss for every single level, a entirely complicated system of like mechanical system, and basically a world that would kind of necessitate an insane graphical facelift. Like you can't release it as it is as a new game. You would have to change it graphically. Yeah, or at the very least, a remaster that's so extensive that it may as well be a remake or feel like a remake, a la Metroid Prime 1. But it's a task. Like, I mean, we're literally seeing all these very big remakes of classic games that literally can't include everything that the original had because development costs are so much higher. And this is a huge game. Like, you want to release it in chapters? That seems insane.
That would be insane.
And you can't really cut one of the chapters.
If Sakurai is involved in a potential remake of Kid Icarus, then I think he would go that mile. I think he would commit.
I mean, he would, but Sakurai's also a lunatic.
This is true. Kid Icarus, I would love both Kid Icarus and Kid Icarus Uprising and Punch Out. Kid Icarus Uprising more so because that's like the best and worst 3DS game simultaneously.
It is, yeah.
And I would like the worst part to be dropped by porting it to a new system.
And to be fair, like not being on 3DS would automatically drop the worst part.
Yeah, exactly. But Punch Out as well. Like, I would love a new Punch Out game, just because. Well, what? Because, but if they want to redo interest in it, I think a port to Switch would be very good, like a cheap port, like they do with Pikmin. This is like a thing. There's a lot of games on the Wii I'd like to see ported over. Excite Truck is another one, but I also wonder if they're games that would sell a lot. Obviously, when they ported Pikmin 1 and 2 over, they sort of combined them together and sort of did it this way. Whereas, like. And I guess you could release it as a digital and charge just 20 quid for it. But they do like doing these physicals, and I'm not sure if releasing Punch Out Wii or Excite Truck, for example, would sell would be able to justify to be a higher price than that.
Yeah, but Nintendo has like printed 5 copies of a game before. Like they they can in quotes release a physical.
I'd like to make a point that like Xenoblade 2 is still out of print, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Like,
yeah, true.
I'm going to. I don't want to. Not to cut you off, Wolfman, but A, I'm on my phone. B, I have to go leave now. Since I'm on my phone, maybe I'll sort of stick around. But I just wanted to say. Random thing, but that Ebenezer and the Invisible World, Scrooge Metroidvania, they were showing it at PAX. I think when they show a bunch of random stuff, maybe they'll do a little montage, maybe it'll have its own trailer. I think it's going to be here somewhere.
All right.
Oh, you know what?
That would be really good, yeah.
You know what would be really fun? I think they'd only put it in the montage. It'd be really fun if one of the Sam Barlow games was on Switch, like Telling Lies or Her Story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's more of just a hope, not a prediction, but hey, put that in a montage next to, I don't know, another Borderlands spinoff that isn't Tiny Tina.
Yeah. We're gonna get some spinoff of something. Isn't it time for a Monster Hunter spinoff of some sort? I don't know, something that nobody really cares about, unless you're a Monster Hunter fan.
I mean, it's probably. Well,
they actually just ended Rise and Sunbreak.
Yeah.
Like it just they posted their like thank you, it's over. Message on Twitter.
It's done now.
So I assume yeah, they're gearing up for a new game. Obviously, they always are. But I am curious if they will wait for another console.
Yeah, I think they will. I don't think we'll get anything Monster Hunter. I do think on the topic of spin-offs, it might be time for another Kirby spin-off because they like releasing spin-offs all the time.
Well,
Kirby is more spin-off than Man by this point.
Yeah.
I hope they do like it's that Fall Guys thing again, but with like more stuff.
This time
enjoyed,
it is just Fall Guys.
I love
I
Dream
enjoyed-
Buffet. I need to play it more.
Me too. It's
like
fun.
unironically one of my favorite games on the Switch, and it's like it's just like stagnant because there's like it's
No,
it had very few
Yeah.
little content and wasn't being updated or anything, so there wasn't anything there to add to it.
But oh god, it's so fun, especially when
Yeah.
it works.
Sorry, I
Yes,
just wanted
go
to.
Wolfman.
I'm jumping back to an early topic, but I did want to respond to one of our the people in the chat, Owdoodle, who mentions. I mean, this is specifically about the question of why we don't get more of these IPs and why getting into Smash doesn't automatically get you a new game. And they said the answer to both those questions is that those devs are busy. If the life cycle of a Nintendo series is that Nintendo makes it, someone else get told to make it, someone else get busy, it dies. And that's true. And to a broader extent, like, Nintendo is, I think, like, somewhat rare, or perhaps increasingly rare amongst the entertainment industry, in that it's less invested in, like, shared universes or larger franchises. It's generally, as a rule, likes to take each game as its own thing. So someone at Nintendo will be, say, like, oh, I want to make a new Punch-Out game, and they eventually marshal the resources to make it. They don't necessarily intend for it to be another series. Maybe they'd like it to, but they just release it as it is and then just move on to the next thing.
Also, like every like Nintendo and like all their subsidiaries, like they all have like 200-ish employees each. Like at that, they don't like. I just looked it up. Next Level Games has 132 employees. That's not like these.
That's like a tenth of.
Yeah, they're not pumping out games because they only really have the manpower to make, you know, like 2 or 3 at a time simultaneously. Especially now that all of these companies, and this is why Nintendo makes a shitload of money. They of course have like the ability to like expand if they want, but a lot of these developers were making either standard definition or you know, handheld games, and now they have to juggle 2 HD, now maybe even higher than that, considering, you know, depending on the specs of the next system, and they're still fairly small companies. So you know, if John Nintendo, if Doug Bowser is like, we already got Mario Wonder, we don't need like 3 more 2D side scrollers. That's just like how it's gonna roll, I guess, which sucks. Like, I would love them to keep pumping games out and hiring different development teams to do that, but yeah, I mean,
It's probably for the best.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Small teams, a lot of money.
Yeah, speaking of good feel though, because Odd Doodle just brought that up. I want them to show off more of their new game. I want it to get an English release date. God damn it! I don't think we're gonna get that until at least launches in Japan. But I'm super hyped for that game, and I want it to come over here.
I was gonna say, do you think we'll get a Mario Party? No, right? Like,
no.
Are we feeling any Mario spin-offs?
I think spin-offs, yes. I think Party is probably going to be like twice a generation at most.
Okay.
Yeah, Mario Party. I think the best we'll get is 3. Does Mario vs Donkey Kong count as a Mario spin-off or a Donkey Kong spin-off?
It's a both. It's a both spin-off.
It's a both. So I mean, there's that. I suppose we could get another Mario sports game, because they've been pretty consistent with them releasing sports game, and I feel like we got Switch Sports as the last one, and that sort of came to an end. Pitiful end. And so now they got another sports series that they should probably drop, whether it be baseball, which I think has been rumored at some point, or basketball again.
How long has it been since a baseball game? Has it been since the Wii?
Was the last one,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't get it in PAL either.
No,
so
no.
It's been the GameCube.
Wasn't it in
It's in Mario Sports Superstars, but nobody we don't talk about that game because it's bad.
Boring. Yeah.
I mean, actually, If they're gonna bring any Mario Sports Superstar game out, I want the horse racing one because that was actually really fun. It's like the only good game in that package is Mario Equestrian Riding.
Well,
Make that a full game.
if we're on the topic of sub franchises, or at least like spin-off crossover franchises, do we want to address the idea of there being a new Smash content update in some way?
Yeah, I was going to address it at the end. In fact, yeah, let's just do it now, and then Wolfman.
I mean, we're 2
you can
hours
give your
in.
next prediction. Yeah. Because I just want to make sure we've all had the 2 prediction things. But yeah, Smash Brothers. I know we opened the Smash leaks and rumors chat because there were rumors and stuff about it. This is what I'm going to say. Do not get your hopes up for anything.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not anytime soon. Didn't Sakurai just like beat Starfield? Like what was he have the time for that?
Yeah.
But Sakurai doesn't really want to make video games right now. He just wants to be a weird YouTuber. Which,
yeah, he wants to become a Nintendo tuber, gaming.
And to be fair, and I think also, like, you know, it's fair to maybe not make the game make the DLC unless he's back in the driver's seat. So,
the only thing I would ever consider is like stages.
Yeah, music pack.
Yeah, music and biggest stretch, biggest stretch. One character, and it's like a Nintendo first party from like the last 2 years.
Elephant Mario.
Yeah, or like Tears of the Kingdom, or
Super Mario RPG, guys.
By the way,
I mean, honestly, like, yeah, I mean, genuinely, after like 2 decades of basically making fun of his chances, while also, to be clear, enjoying him as a character, and I think he'd be very fun in Smash as a playable character. I have to put that disclaimer, but yeah, you know what? Honestly, it makes sense. Gino is a sensible spin-off character.
Yeah.
Now it is.
Now
is the time if it was ever going to be.
And he doesn't get in, then Gino is never getting in. This is it.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say that necessarily, but like, yeah,
I would.
it's.
I would.
Okay, no, I mean, you're right. I just wouldn't say it myself because I'm a coward.
But yes, so
that would be, you know, be really great. Oh my god! See, okay, like this is like here you go, folks. Here's the fucking off the rocker direct prediction. This is my like shooting for the moon here. They're gonna show off Mario RPG, and then it's gonna cut to like a cutscene in the game, and it's gonna look graphically a little different than the rest of the footage we've seen, and then it's just a Smash trailer.
Gino's no longer small; he's like regular size.
I'll do my Smash prediction as basically it's an exciting, weird, hyper CG 4K looking thing, and suddenly it's Commander Shepard, and then suddenly twists to, by the way, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition is coming out for Switch 2, which we are also making.
Yeah, we're announcing the Switch 2 alongside the Smash character.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's just.
That's how you get eyes on it.
Here it is, folks. Here's all your wacky. You know, this is it. Put them on Twitter. These are definitely happening.
More serious video game like announcements should be basically set to the tone of Homer Simpson going, by the way, I was being sarcastic.
But just to bring the Smash Brothers stuff back to
reality,
an actual expected level.
Yeah.
Where there's obviously smoke, there's fire. I think that there might possibly be something. Whether it has anything to do with the Amiibo restocks or not, I don't know. I feel like that's probably just a branding thing, if anything.
Yeah.
Because all the new Amiibo restocks have got different boxes that don't specify which consoles they work for, which is like, you know, very future-proofy. Gives more evidence for another system about to come out next year, rather than anything to do with Smash Brothers. But if there is a Smash Brothers update, like there might very well be one because people have started talking about it. I don't think it's going to be anything super substantial.
No.
Like at best it would be like one new stage.
There's
I
more
think.
spirits.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly,
yeah,
spirits,
Tears of the
yeah.
Kingdom spirits,
Yeah,
or
Mario Wonder spirits,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like I could see that. I could see it being like, I don't know, some sort of random micro mode or something. We're gonna give the spirits descriptions now in a random update. Something that's just, I don't know, not like something that I think people probably wouldn't be excited about. I guess maybe
It's but I mean, like, also we're kind of at the point where, like, game getting updated for 3 years is a lot. And
Yeah.
like literally by the end, we got more DLC characters than there were characters in the original Smash game. Stages
Yeah.
too, actually. Like it's a lot, and it's a lot to keep supporting that, especially since presumably the developers kind of would like to do different things, even things that aren't just being a YouTuber. Yeah, I mean, look, I love Smash. I'd love to see it more, but I would really, really, really like tamper down any expectations.
Yeah.
Plus, I
Hype
mean, they got Mario
responsibly.
Kart DLC they gotta sell. Like,
That is true.
That's
Yeah,
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got-
that's where that's actually where the crossover will happen. They have the final announcement,
Yeah.
and that there's 2 characters.
it's
and then
Gene over
Nintendo...
Mario Kart.
Oh no, it's actually even better. See, Nintendo is like, by the way, alongside playing is Madrid Drive and Rome, whatever the hell the Rome one was called. We're
Rome
gonna add 2
Avanti.
Avanti, sorry. Yeah, we're going to add 2 new characters, and to emphasize our continuing strong relationship with the people of Universal, we're going to add the 2 new characters. At NBC Universal, we're going to add the 2 new characters, Dwight Schrute and Charlie Cale from Poker Face.
I thought you just like you put a vision in my brain.
Yeah, I know.
Of a Mario Kart 8 rendered minion. Driving around in the Mercedes Benz.
Yes.
Heck yeah. This is peak.
in the fucking real ass car in Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
I mean, Mario Kart DLC is something else I expect we'll see. Another teaser.
Oh,
Which Pauline is almost certainly one of the characters. I feel like the other character is probably Diddy Kong, but I would prefer it to be Donkey Kong Jr. Like, I think that would be cool. Like, if he's done like how he is in Tour, where it's like an 8-bit sprite and stuff, like that.
Yeah.
8-bit, 16-bit even. Like, that would be, like, the best outcome.
Diddy fans would be fucking pissed.
It's still a Donkey Kong character, so there we go.
I think Donkey Kong fans tend to be frustrated a lot of the time, and sometimes that's fair.
And they'll be extra frustrated when it's not Donkey Kong Country that gets shown off.
And you know what, though? That Donkey Kong game that probably exists that EPD is making is probably going to be pretty good. It won't be country. Mm-hmm. It'll be really fun.
Yeah.
Donkey and Diddy are going to be in it, probably, and maybe not a lot of other characters, but it'll be fun and good, and maybe Donkey Kong will get to be more like how he is in, say, Smash, where he's just bruising on folks.
Mario versus Donkey Kong, Diddy versus Minis. That's the title. That's the game.
The game that really just exists to make people saying the name of the game in English just absolutely frustrated.
Say it really fast.
Yeah. Now that Pauline is actually back into like the more of the spotlight, I wonder how they'll handle her in a Mario versus Donkey Kong game. Because that's like, I mean, it'll probably just be the same, but obviously she's been like recontextualized and stuff. Will they capitalize on that, or will they just not acknowledge it? Stuff that keeps you up at night, you know, thinking about.
I'm always constantly thinking about weird aspects of Mario lore and business.
Thinking about Mario.
Why do the bill blasters not shoot the bills when you're next to them? I need to know.
Do you think they'll have one other thing they didn't show in the Mario Wonder Direct? They'll be like, actually, we hit our hand. Here's one more.
Yeah, no, I can see that totally. Just a minor thing, though.
Yeah,
just a
really
minor
small
thing. Yeah, like there'll be a trailer for Mario Wonder for sure.
Yeah, by the way, we're gonna have secret bonus characters.
By the way, there is a red OLED. Don't
Here
forget.
are Mario's boots. Maybe they'll be the final Mario Kart character.
Oh, I bet we'll see a reminder of those new bundles that are out. Which, by the way, is technically the first Switch price drop.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Finally, it's a sign. It's
the first time they finally bundled the system with a game at regular price. It's technically a price drop.
All right, Wolfman, do you have one final prediction you want to make? Because we're getting to the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. Like, basically, I do think, like, what the things that feel the most plausible, or maybe the most plausible for this point in time, are, like, some combination of, like, 6 GameCube games, which is a lot, and seems slightly implausible to me. But again, it's just, like, presumably, if they want to get Metroid Prime 4 out for the Switch, and to be clear, I don't think it's going to be not on Switch. Maybe it'll probably be like the swan song, but they're not going to pass it over. And I think they'll probably like lightly support the Switch for a couple years before quietly retiring it. But yeah, but adding 2 Metroid Prime games and possibly 2 Zelda games and possibly F-Zero GX is. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's my one thing. I also think there could be more GameCube remaster stuff, but it does with Metroid Prime 2 already and F-Zero already. That alone already feels like a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's the thing with GameCube is like I think there's a lot of GameCube games where it's one of those same like inevitabilities where it just fundamentally makes sense. Like, will always there's never really going to be a time where it's especially good or bad to release an Eternal Darkness like remaster or a 1,000 Year Door remaster or whatever. Like, those are just kind of perennial things, but it probably would be smart to have some Zeldas coming out in between this and the next Zelda game, which will be out in like 6 years. It would probably be good to have Metroid Primes ready before Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a hierarchy, and the ones we're thinking of are at the top, but they're all sensible to include, and it would be weird to include all of them at once.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they may as well hold on some of them and have them be. That's why Luigi's Mansion 1, I feel like it's going to happen, but I don't feel like it's going to be announced here. It'll be announced in like the next Direct, closer to when Luigi's Mansion 2 comes out, or just after it comes out, depending on when that happens. I would like them to announce like a port or remake of some random pull from the bag like they did with Famicom Detective Club back in the day. Like,
Yeah.
Do they own stuff like Another Code and Hotel Dusk, like, you know, the other visual novel type games? Because Sing, obviously they're part with Sing, but Sing is also dead, so...
Yeah, like, I assumed they owned Hotel Dusk, but
yeah, I assume so, yeah.
But, like, it's maybe hard to justify putting a lot of resources into doing a remaster of a DS game on a machine that was less powerful than a Nintendo 64 for a machine that is more powerful than an Xbox One. Sorry, than an like maybe an Xbox 360.
Yeah, but I'd like them to. I'd like them to pull a remake of something really random like that out of nowhere. That would be really cool.
I mean, I would also just love a new Famicom Detective Club.
Yes, that as well.
Would be, yeah.
How did it fucking? It had to have cost like $5. Like what? Like what? How did it do? Like what do we have to do to what was Nintendo's end goal there? Like what? Like
I think it really was.
Did they want to make more? Do I want them
so.
to?
Yeah, I feel like it's a Sakamoto thing. Like, Majors clearly wanted to make more, but I think Sakamoto was like, "There's a third game." Because he only wrote the script for the first two. He only wrote the books for the first two. The third one was made by someone else. So he probably just straight up forgot they existed.
Man.
And is like,
who do
do
I
I
have
want
to?
to do
Who do I
this?
have to like? Who like? Oh man, that would be great. I'd be all for that.
Will we see Pyoro in the direct? Will he be there with WarioWare?
I'll gasp. I'll fucking
Yeah.
take my breath
This is
away.
how he knew.
Oh
Get
yeah,
that WarioWare game.
well, yeah, that you got to have a little bit of that too.
Yeah, we'll get a trailer for that.
And probably also a little bit of for RPG. I think Nintendo will probably try to keep all the stuff it actually makes outside of the sizzle reel.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like, yeah.
Actually, speaking of like weird Nintendo kind of one-off things with third-party developers, I would love to see them do another like indie crossover thing. A la
Yes!
Cadence of
Yeah.
Hyrule, or
That
even
would be
just like
really
another eShop game.
Yeah,
I would love
I
that,
just want a new IP from Nintendo
Yeah,
in general, because they didn't have one last year, and it was the first time they didn't have one in like 40 years. No, 39 years, I think it was.
well, I mean, I
And then
guess
last year
they
had
did
nothing.
just release everybody, everyone, every
Oh, yeah.
every
Everybody,
one,
Switch.
one, two,
Switch.
Switch.
Which will... Oh,
everybody.
yeah, that's the other thing. Just as it will not be there at all. And also, like, yeah, Nintendo is... If they continue to make 1-2 Switch games, which...
I don't think they will.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be real with you.
Yeah,
I feel like that game is not just like the Death Swan for whatever the fuck was going on there, but I think that might be the last time Nintendo does a console focused game. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, WarioWare will always have stuff like that.
no. I mean like like a Wii Party U, or
right,
or just like Switch blank, or like
I
Wii
could
blank.
see Switch Sports 2 happening, because despite that game being very bare bones, it did sell well enough.
Yeah,
And I mean, that's how we got everybody
they
want
might.
to Switch in the
I mean, I
first
feel like
place.
they might rebrand it at that point.
Oh
though.
yeah, I mean, it'll probably be for the next system and be whatever that system's called, Sports.
Where the fuck is Ring Fit 2?
That I could also see
Where
on the
the
next
fuck is
system.
Ring Fit 2?
I was just gonna mention just quickly though what I was trying to say. Whether or not it actually exists, my prediction is you will never ever see everybody a 1-2 Switch equivalent in a direct ever again.
Yeah.
Like they will be happy to publish it, but like there was a reason it wasn't in the last direct, even though it was literally right before the game came out, so it would be the optimal time to advertise it. Like,
Well, it was not the correct market for that game.
I mean, the direct market is. I actually don't know what the direct market is for everybody 1-2 Switch.
People who have 99 friends and are super bummed that they can never all play the same game.
People who really like Platonic Spin the Bottle, or any version of Spin the Bottle, I guess, and people who are really into creepy horsemen. I actually
really want Jackbox with more steps.
Yeah. Speaking of the Smash update, that's who the new fighter is. MC Horace.
Oh.
Yes! I have spent over a year so excited about
once again, I'm interrupting Wolfman because that's what I do apparently. But I got to get out of here, so I just want to say goodbye to you guys and to everybody listening and all that stuff.
Take the care.
Okay,
Yeah,
bye-bye.
Take care, bye-bye. Go on, Wolfman. Sorry, go on.
That really derailed
I would
everything.
unironically love to see Horse Host return. The whole idea of creating this like incredibly creepy BoJack Horseman looking dude whose name is only there because I guess apparently horse and host sound kind of similar, but they don't actually.
I seriously cannot believe Nintendo in the current year 2023 released a fucking video game where the main lead character is a guy, literally just some guy, and he's wearing the like default cheapo like $10 meme horse mask you can buy at any Spirit Halloween or Party City, and they just kind of painted it over to look a little more glossy, and that's it. That's their iconic new design, is something that already exists.
Horus the Host and his iconic horse head.
Yeah. Ironically, I feel like they didn't use Horus enough in Everybody Want to Switch.
Because again, like, yeah,
barely there.
The only interesting part. Apparently, he tested poorly, which is not a surprise, but
because it's
apparently
like
nothing
the
in that game tested
cheapest,
poorly.
laziest fucking thing they could have done. like short of like them just using like a default Ghostface like Scream Halloween costume, or like a like a really cheap. God, oh man, I can't believe it. I can't believe that.
I mean, it literally just really is like. He literally looks like BoJack Horseman.
Yeah.
It's.
If we're talking about like, if a series that would work with Everybody Want to Switch style, though, would be a WarioWare game. Obviously, we're about to get one, but a WarioWare style Jackbox game.
Hell yeah!
That would sell a million times better.
Wario Battle Royale also like.
Hell yeah! Just there you go, WarioWare 99. You're just playing mini games over and over again until the last person standing.
And I think everyone would just prefer that anyway. If it was like if they want to make these super gimmicky like hardware focused games, but yeah, attach them to an IP. Like do really cool like creative stuff with
Nintendo Land was awesome.
You have Mario Party. You literally have Mario Party.
And it's also like there's also like 11 or 12 Mario parties, and because of that, like it's perfectly fine. Like experimenting, like if you do like I said earlier, I think you're basically not going to see more than 2 Mario parties a generation, and then have the normal one, and then have the weird experimental one.
Where's Nintendo Land 2? Also, apparently, I'm still here.
Oh my god. But
Spaz, he keeps showing up where he's not wanted, much like Horus the Host.
Oh my god. But I was gonna say, like, people would probably buy a Mario Jackbox knockoff more than, like, Horseman Jackbox. Like, is there really no, like, what's the in-game graphics for Everyone Want to Switch? Like, are there 3D models, or is it just like videos again, like the first one?
It's like this first one. It's like videos and stock images.
Could they not just like open up Source Filmmaker and put the Mario Odyssey models in and just have them do the fucking, like, could they not?
They should.
Is there no way they couldn't have just exuded like an extra day to make some Mario cinematics and like new music or remixes or something, and then just make it a Mario thing?
Yeah, I think, you know what, there are times, for the most part, and I'm going to come back to this, but for the most part, I think it's generally good when Nintendo experiments and uses new IPs rather than established ones. That's basically a lot of why Splatoon is great, is because they said, but yeah, this is
it's
coming back. But the problem is that, like, Splatoon went from basically being a game where you play as Tofu to a game where you play as Mario to a game that's like this weird, hyper frenetic, neon soaked, like 90s world of talking squid rappers and idol bands. Like, it's very cool and it's weird, and it's basically like nothing else I've really seen in a game. It goes from generic to ultimately just like the ultimate level of generic off-brand video game, just stock images of generic people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not poo-pooing on new IPs, but like,
use them when you
can.
One
2 Switch is barely an IP. Like,
it's
the first one isn't. Like the first one doesn't really have an identity. It's like most people said, it should have been a pack-in game, because it's just so like, and I mean, I'm not in that game's case. I actually don't even think it's a bad thing, because it is so like clean, like it's so aesthetically like, oh yeah, it's so simple. But like, yeah, for something like the follow-up, yeah, just
Yeah,
how are you
it's
gonna
weird
build on the
because
concept? Just make it Mario.
Yeah, the original concept was basically the brand was just, by the way, you know, this your Switch technology has cool
Yeah.
stuff. These Joy-Cons that can do fun things. And as far as I can tell, the sequel is essentially that, but a bit lesser somehow, and now it's Jackbox. Sorry,
Yeah.
Spazzy.
yeah,
I'm just saying I
I
want more
feel
like
they wanted to. They're like, well, the Wii, Wii Sports and Wii this and Wii that. They didn't have their own identity. Their identity was the Wii, but that's not true. They very much
Yeah.
did with the Mii's and everything else. And
Yeah,
that
there was an aesthetic.
what lacking. Yeah, exactly. There was an aesthetic that came from the Mii's, that came from, kind of these smooth, lower poly models and kind of elevator jazz music and everything, which One Two Switch didn't. And One Two Switch was nothing as far as presentation,
yeah.
which okay, but yeah, for a follow-up, I agree with you.
Yeah, it worked for 1-2 Switch because a lot of that game didn't want you looking at the screen, because the whole point was that you would play that game using that HD rumble or whatever and looking at other people. And while everybody 1-2 Switch has a few games like that, like the
Yeah.
Ninja Star one where it's based entirely on sound and looking at people, it's like most of the games do want you to look at the screen, and the games are just boring, like Bingo. Like, I don't care about Bingo, I'm afraid. Especially the way they've implemented it in Everybody 1-2 Switch. It's just so easy to rig it. It's insane.
Yeah.
But
I'm
yeah,
I'm just saying I want more like Link's crossbow training. That's
Yeah.
that's the point I'm getting at. Is not I'm not saying like, oh, they literally should have just released like Everybody
Yeah.
1-2 Switch as is with Mario overlay, even though they could have easily done that. And,
They need smaller games.
But
WarioWare,
yes.
Kirby.
like-
I feel like Kirby could do a bunch of weird stuff.
yeah,
He's
I'm saying
Kirby.
if you're gonna like do these wacky little gimmicky console things, yeah, tie it to an IP. Do like fun little in-universe things. You can like, it probably limits you a bit in what you can do, but then you can get, I don't know. I think
If they did an Animal Crossing game where what you have to do is like sell shit or clean shit, like just take care of your
I
town.
don't really know how else I could spell it out. That like, yeah, I want more games like this. Just good. Just,
Yeah.
cool.
We
How about this
like
game look good?
generally, like when we talk about this, like when people talk about this, there's generally people gravitate more towards like the big games, your A-list stuff, like your
Yeah.
very big, sumptuous remakes and new things, often using the same IPs. But like, Nintendo and basically every major one of these companies needs to have a wide slate of the big ones, the ones that are a bit lesser, and going so far down, and your indie stuff. And Nintendo has a lot of that, and they've done a lot of that over history. Like, I'm thinking of Box Boy, for instance.
Yeah.
Like, right off the top of my head. And, like, they're doing that on Switch, but it is a bit less, I think. Maybe, I don't know why. Maybe they think that the actual indies on there are covering that ground for them, but it would be nice to see a few more of them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for them to have better aesthetic than Everybody 1-2 Switch, and an aesthetic other than 1-2 Switch.
Pivoting almost entirely away from this conversation. I actually, if we're doing one last predictions, like one final thing,
on.
I think we might see a new Animal Crossing thing. I think
Okay.
I wouldn't like. I don't know about a content update for New Horizons. I think that's done. That's like,
Yeah.
that's but I am curious if they would do it's like another spin-off. Definitely not fucking Amiibo Festival, but like it's just something else, cuz one of the new bundles they released for the Switch is Animal Crossing again. So I mean, it sold a shitload of copies, and I don't know how. I haven't really. I don't read their sales stats. I don't know if like Animal Crossing sales are still strong or if they've like really fallen off. I just assume they've fallen off a bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, I assume they're still good. It's Animal Crossing.
But yeah, exactly. I'm curious if they will do something else, like a just some other quick little short thing that they can put out to hold people over until they make a new one. That because I wouldn't expect a new Animal Crossing until the next system, like regardless.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's a one
Yeah.
generation, which is for the best.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I'm prediction out. I think we've hit everything I want. So
actually, okay, I don't necessarily think we're going to get it, but technically the game did come out earlier this year, so yeah, well, I think we can wait a year to see the next Fire Emblem, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
They were pumping those out for a while, I think.
Yeah, I Fire Emblem. There's that rumored remake, and it feels like it could come out next year. I know people feel confident about it coming out next year. I feel like if it was me, I would release it on the next system instead.
By the way, it just started
because
like,
we literally just got engaged this year.
fair
Like,
warning, if the stream ends abruptly early, it's because it's fucking teeming outside. So
yeah,
it is pouring.
So yeah, new Fire Emblem is possible. I think I'm gonna hold off, and if it is coming to Switch, it'll be announced next February, and then be like a summer title, like the last game for Switch. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be cool to see, but I'm not sold personally. That's me though. Yeah. Anything else? I guess.
Also, I would not know Xenoblade. That'd be fucking.
We might get the Mio and Noah amiibo finally. I feel like that should be connected to something. But
That'd
I don't
be crazy
know what.
if they just pulled out like, oh yeah, we actually just did Xenoblade Cross. Here it is.
oh dang, yeah.
Like how they pulled out the Xenoblade 1 remakes. They're just like out of nowhere.
Yeah, that would be kind of wild. I feel like if there's any Xenoblade, it'll be a spin-off. Like people have talked about the next Warriors game or whatever. And Xenoblade feels like primed for that.
I assume any franchise.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yeah, I assume any franchise that has had a release in the last like year or two, that whatever the next thing is, just next system is like, don't even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all right. Shall we wrap this up?
Yeah, Spazzy, do you have any? Are you here?
Is he still alive?
Muted.
Yeah, he's muted, so I'll take that to assume he's.
Hey,
sorry.
you're a big Wolfman. No, go ahead. I'm just being an ass.
I was literally just going to say bye for you, but since you're actually here, please do that.
I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of moving furniture.
Say goodbye, Spazzy.
Goodbye. It's time for real this time.
Spazzy currently, actually doing the action of the theoretical Animal Crossing spinoff we'd like to see.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, I cannot turn these pieces of furniture into a leaf and put them in my pocket. Would be very convenient.
All right. Let's wrap this up then.
Yep, let's wrap it up. Well, gamers, do I have the Source Gaming Patreon thing? I guess I don't. Well,
whoops.
We have a Patreon.
The last one.
Yeah, wait. Someone. Let's. If I'm fast, hang on. Let me see. I think I have the. So much suspense for the end of the stream.
So,
we here at Source Gaming are like, we're prepared for any situation. Like, we are just ready, willing, and able at any moment. Our crack team of beautiful baby darlings. Okay.
Ready to drop whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go. Open the file. Drag the file into the thing. There it is. Wow, here it is.
Whoa.
Wow, whoa.
Instantaneously.
Wow. Wow,
All right.
wow.
Thanks. All right. Thanks everyone for watching, listening, however you're doing it. Hopefully, we'll get that direct announced sooner rather than later, and then we can come back and look at all these predictions and see what ones we were right and which ones were not right.
Yeah, if there's no
Yeah.
direct, this whole stream was fucking stupid.
There'll
Remember,
be a direct eventually. So the second, if one doesn't happen this week, then whenever it does happen, we'll repost this on a Sunday and pretend it's brand new.
Yeah,
Pretend it's live again.
yeah.
So
And-
maybe we'll be great, and Hornet will be pulling Silksong out on a giant train that includes like 80 GameCube remakes.
Yeah.
If we're not, then
fantastic.
if we're not, we'll probably be some stuff that's good. Like
Yeah.
that's just how every direct is. Like even if there's stuff that isn't that interesting, there's stuff that's good.
This is true. There's always something.
Yep. And no new Golden Sun. So,
Wah wah.
wah, wah. Always remember to return to the source. And goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.